factor by grouping. To factor by grouping, you can pick the first two terms and the last two terms and factor them, see if you get the common factors. Not always the first two and last two terms would be right grouping, but in this case, if I factor a among the first two terms, I would get a minus 2 here. And if I factor the 4 here, and I get a minus 2 here. So that would be a right grouping, because now I have a minus 2 in common between these two terms. Now, if you don't get anything in common, you may want to group this differently. You may want to group the first term and the third term, or first term and the last term and two middle terms. There's 3 different ways you can group them to get the right grouping. Now, what do we have in common between these two terms? Okay, who knows the answer? Either type your answer or jump in and tell me. Use your microphone. Okay, a lot of you says a minus 2. That's absolutely correct. So the question is, what times a minus 2 give you this first term? What's missing? Anyone? So this is 4a now. What times a minus 2 give me this first term? I'm getting a few correct answers here. A, right? A is missing, so if I put a here, good. Plus, again, what times a plus a minus 2 give me the second term? What's missing here? Good, 4. 4 is missing. So that's how you factor them. A minus 2 times a plus 4. This is how you factor by grouping. Once again, check mark if you can all follow this, please. Factor by grouping. If you don't follow this, this is the time to talk about this, or I can explain this maybe differently. Check mark if you can all follow this. X if you can't. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's the factor by grouping. Karen, you said the other way. The only way for factor by grouping would be to pick the first two terms and see if that's the right grouping. In this case, it is. Now, if you pick the first two terms and the last terms, and you don't get anything in common, then at that point you pick the other. You group them differently, see if you get the right grouping. So in this case, our first choice was a right grouping, so we're good. Do you follow that? Okay, so now you understand that. So yes, we pick the first two and the last two terms. If you get the common terms, then it means we pick the right grouping then.